Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is finally out on Disney+, and this is everything you need to know about the first 2 episodes. Be careful if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes yet, because this video will contain spoilers. So first of all, let's just go over the basics. The show is kind of meant to be MCU adjacent, but isn't really. The show originally went in that direction, and you can definitely see remnants of that throughout the first 2 episodes. First of all, there is a really cool opening sequence, and it's cool for 2 reasons. One, that is a remix of the classic Spider-Man theme song, which is always fun, but also, we get a theme song. The last few Spider-Man shows we've had didn't get the intro treatment, and instead just like a logo with maybe a little audio sting. This gets an intro, and it's really cool. We get to see lots of variants of different suits, different comic panels, different takes on older comic panels. It's just a lot of fun. Then the show does kind of open as a prelude to Homecoming. We have Peter going to his first day / induction at Midtown High. He's with Aunt May, who looks a lot like Marissa Tomei. He's late, they're getting in the car, May is taking him to school. There's a bunch of fun stuff, and there's even a little Iron Man ornament dangling from the rearview mirror, meaning Iron Man definitely exists in this universe, along with us seeing the Avengers Tower, which confirms the Avengers definitely do. Then as Peter is about to enter Midtown High, a Doctor Strange portal opens up in the sky, and a symbiote variant falls out along with Doctor Strange. Now, Peter doesn't actually know who Doctor Strange is, because in the MCU, Doctor Strange kind of happened a little bit later on than Spider-Man did, and it shows, because Doctor Strange also says, I'm not meant to be here. But this is the exact part where I think this strays away on the timeline. I think that this originally was meant to be the events and the prelude to Homecoming, where Peter goes to Midtown High, he gets accepted, and that's it. We get the MCU story. But with this one time variation, with the portal opens and the symbiote variant and Doctor Strange fall out, this is where the universe is split. There's a bit of a fight scene between Doctor Strange and the symbiote when the symbiote goes after somebody called Nico Minoru, which we'll definitely get onto later. But basically, Peter sees this and he doesn't want to stand around doing nothing because Doctor Strange is preoccupied, so he steps up to the symbiote alone. Now, he has no powers at this point, so this truly shows, at least for the Peter in this universe, that he's heroic without having the powers. Doctor Strange then steps in and saves them all, takes them back into the portal, and leaves. But the radioactive spider is dangling out of the portal, and as it closes, it falls, lands on Peter's neck, and he gets bitten. So the spider he's bitten by is from another universe. Very similar to Miles' story in Into the Spider-Verse. Obviously very different to the MCU story, and that's why I think that's where the universe is split off. I think if Doctor Strange hadn't come through that portal, he would have got accepted to Midtown High, he would have met MJ, he would have met Ned, he would have gone on to the normal story. He then of course goes on to becoming Spider-Man. He deals with local crime, and then we get the scene that is pretty much shot for shot the same as the scene from Captain America Civil War, where he walks into the apartment with the DVD player that he found, and Tony Stark is sitting there, except this time, it isn't Tony Stark, it's Norman Osborn. Again, exact same universe, events should have been the same, the timeline split down the line. Peter is offered an internship in Oscorp, and it doesn't seem just yet that Norman knows that he's Spider-Man. So bleeding into episode 2, he goes to Oscorp, he meets a bunch of characters, which again we'll get on to, and one specifically being Carla Connors, who is a Kurt Connors variant for this universe. Spidey stuff has to occur as usual. He changes into a suit in a hallway with CCTV cameras, and then Norman Osborn figures out he is Spider-Man. He is confronted, and the episode ends there. And of course, we didn't get more episodes till next week. So that's the premise for the first 2 episodes. A lot to unpack. First of all, I think we should really go into the characters, because they are the ones I'm most interested in. As we mentioned earlier, we have Nico Minoru, who goes on in the show to pretty much be Peter's best friend. Now, Nico in the comics is actually a member of the Runaways. In the comics, Nico's parents are not only evil, but they are wizards, and Nico is able to inherit some of that power. Whether they do this going forward in the show, I don't know, but it would definitely be interesting to see. After all, the show is getting renewed for season 2 and season 3, so I really don't think it's impossible. Very soon after that, we meet Pearl Pangun, and she is quite a bigger character than she seems. So she's played off as Peter Parker's crush. Apparently, she used to babysit him when he was younger, and there's a bit of a rivalry to begin with because she ends up dating another guy, which again, we'll get on to. But in the comic books, Pearl is actually a member of the Agents of Atlas and goes by the name of Wave, who basically has water manipulation powers, so she's not quite like Namor, and she's not a mutant either, but she was mutated to become this hero. Again, will we see this happen? I hope so, but you never really know. Of course, Peter really wants to date Pearl, but unfortunately she's been taken up too quickly by Lonnie Lincoln, which might be a name that people recognize, as he will go on, or should go on, to become Tombstone. Currently, he's just like the star quarterback in high school. He seems like this sort of stupid athletic jock, but we soon find out after Peter becomes science partners with him, he's actually really smart. And not only does he like sports, he's really intellectual, and he's doing a lot to provide for his family as well, helping his little brother homework and school, along with helping his mother with his car. He's just an all-around really cool guy. But there is a little bit of foreshadowing with him. When he's leaving school, he's looking quite tired. He's having to travel really far just to get home. And there is a shot where the police are following him for no reason whatsoever, which could imply where he lives could be full of crime. I'm interested to see where they go with that. I feel like they wouldn't be putting these characters in if we weren't going to get the payoffs, especially because they put so many in, and this is the story where he's diverted. He didn't get to go to Midtown High. He doesn't meet MJ and Ned. There's definitely a reason why we're seeing these other characters. We also meet Harry Osborn, but only briefly and only twice. In the first episode, Peter saves him from a gang of thugs, and in my opinion, I think this is why Norman Osborn goes on to like seek him out. At first, it's just played off about his intellect, but I think maybe Harry was like, this Spider-Man saved me, he's a pretty cool guy, and Norman looked into that. We also saw him later on in episode 2 on a TV show, but he was at like an award ceremony or something like that. Very little of Harry so far, but I'm sure we'll see more of him in the coming episodes. And of course, Norman Osborn, super genius. He's actually played off quite calm and tame to begin with. He has a little bit of a maniacal twist towards the end of the episode when he reveals to Peter he knows who he is, but we don't know where that's going. Obviously, Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, we'll see what they do. This is a bunch of we'll sees, because the trouble is they've already renewed a season 2 and season 3 so early on. We don't even know if we'll get some of these characters paid off in the first season, so we'll have to see where that goes. And we do get a couple of extra characters in Oscorp, which I would like to think will have bigger roles, but they could have just been put in for the reference. As I mentioned, we have Carla Connors, who is the Kurt Connors variant. She is armless, so maybe she could go forward to becoming the Lizard when trying to regrow her arm, but she seems to be going down a different path, so whether she becomes the Lizard, I don't know, but would they really have put it in there? We'll have to see. We get Amadeus Choud, who is the son of Dr. Choud from Avengers Age of Ultron, although I don't know if they've got that connection exactly in this. And if I'm not mistaken, he has quite a lot of aliases, one being the Totally Awesome Hulk. We have a girl from Wakanda called Aisha, and we also have Professor Whitman, who is the Wizard in some Fantastic Four comics. I'm not incredibly tuned in with this character, so I don't know whether they'll do anything with that in the future. I mean, he was a bit of a knobhead, so we'll see. And before I continue, if you guys want to see my raw and authentic reactions to this, just to see what I truly thought in the moment, I do have the full pretty much 40-minute long video on my Patreon page, link in the description. Film From Studios. It's £3 a month, literally less than a meal deal. You could literally just buy it and watch the back catalogue, and if you wanted to, it's up to you. So those are the main characters that I want to talk about, some main, some side. I'm interested to see where those characters go in the future of the show, but I want to get on to, before we get on to obviously the main guy, I want to just get onto the suit. It is fine. I'm not that bothered. Is it the best homemade suit we've had? No, it's not. It's practical. I mean, yeah, sure, I don't really care about that stuff anyway. Make it non-practical for all I care, it's a Spider-Man suit. What I do really love, though, is the big canister on his back for the web fluid. I think, you know, he could be fine at crafts and designs. We see him sketching up the classic suit in class. I think it's fine to do whatever you want with the suit. I think the big, like, gas canister with the web fluid, that works. I really like that. It's a cool concept, and it makes sense that Peter would do something like that rather than somehow craft a way to fill it like tiny web shooters with it. I think that's cool. I think that should have been done more. Maybe I'm just alone on that. Let me know in the comments. Do you like that? What do you think of the homemade suit in general? And of course, we have the man wearing it, Peter Parker. Now, I quite enjoyed Peter Parker in this. Like I said, it's only the first 2 episodes. So who are we to really judge at this point? Is he my favorite iteration of Peter Parker so far? Not necessarily, but there's this really cool scene where he stops a thief from stealing cash from a pizza place, and the person is crying, and he's like, look, here's the cash, I've caught the criminal, please could you consider just letting them off the hook this one time, because the person's crying, they're saying, look, I've just had a really tough time, I saw the money, I didn't think, it just all happened at once. And Peter just says, look, on the chance that this is true, and he's like, and I'll be watching you. If this happens again, I won't make it so easy on you. And says to the business owner, please, can you just let her go? And the guy just says, look, you've got me my cash back. I will let it happen just this once. And I think that was a really good Peter Parker moment. Even in the MCU, we don't see a hell of a lot. You know, we see him helping old ladies cross the street and stuff like that. But that was just a really good moment of morals of like, look, they've had a really hard time. If we can excuse it just this once, if they definitely don't do it again. If not, either way, I'll catch them again and bring them in. I thought it was quite cool. I think that was a nice moment, especially to really start off this series with this new Peter Parker. And of course, it's the standard classic work, school, Spidey balance. You know, he's quipping a lot. It's not overly done, which is quite nice. I know there are some iterations of Spider-Man where it's really overly done to the point where it's just not funny. There's some quite funny moments. I was laughing throughout this show. I thought it was quite good and quite well done. Overall, is it perfect? Absolutely not. I think the animation could do some work. The art style I actually really enjoy. I'm not a hater of the art style like I know some people are. The animation's weird. Some, like, the frame rate is definitely alternating, and not in the progression of Spider-Man way that they do in the Spider-Verse films. It is definitely weird. The camera's definitely at a different frame rate from the subjects, but that flips. Sometimes the camera's quite smooth and the characters are clunky, and then the opposite. But honestly, it's exceeded my expectations. And like I said, at the end of the day, it is just the first 2 episodes. So, I mean, who are we really to judge just yet? We've only just passed origin status. And even then, when, you know, if you've seen the trailers, we know that Norman's going to give him the new suit, the Oscorp suit, the Future Foundation suit, whatever they're going to go with. I don't know, I'm excited for more. I love Spider-Man. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, but I'm not like an incredibly tense Spider-Man like geek. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'd love to be. I'm just not that well educated on all of the lore. I just really love the web swinging little guy. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to this show. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok if you want. I will definitely be posting some of my reaction footage onto TikTok in short form if you want to check it out. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts on the entire show. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you hopefully next week for episodes 3 and I believe even 4 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.